Hi there, I am Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph, and this is not a regular 90% knitting episode. So if you are looking for the usual knitting content, please check back early next week, which is when I will record episode 272, and I will have all of my usual content at that time. However, today is going to be a shop news and update preview video instead. So if you are interested in what will be going up in my shop tomorrow evening, which is Friday the 26th of January at 6 p.m., and it will be the Guy Colors or Man-uary update. If that's of interest to you, stick around because I'm going to show you everything that I have dyed up for that. And there's quite a bit actually, so it might be worth looking at. But in the meantime, I have some other news that I want to share with you. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is shows. Show season is really close to starting, and it's always fun because shows are when I get to go out and I actually get to see you guys instead of you always just getting to see me. I get to meet you in person, and it's just a lot of fun. So I actually have a really nice lineup of shows scheduled for 2018 already. I always do a handful of shows, but this year I've got quite a few booked, and that's unusual for me to have them booked this early in the year. I've got more that I've applied to, and as I hear back from them, if I get in, I will definitely add to the list and let you know where I will be. But for right now, I'm going to tell you about the ones that I know are definites. And that begins in April. So April 21st, I will be vending here close to my location in Delmont, PA, at the Raggz Fiber Affair and Wool Market. I have vended there before. I did that twice last year, I believe. April and October is when she does her shows. And it was a wonderful show. It's a nice location. It's a fire hall, so it's big and spacious, and tons of vendors from the local area, yarn, fiber, knitting related, items. There are several farms that vend there as well. So if you're into, farm yarns and farm wools, it's a lovely show to go to. So please check that out if you are able. I will also link all of these shows and put details about locations and everything in the show notes, like in the drop down menu below, as well as in the 90% knitting group and the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group. So you'll be able to see the details there. Anyway, moving on. The next show after that one will be right before Maryland Sheep and Wool, and this is a new one for me, and I was thrilled to be asked to be a part of the Needles Up market that will be taking place on Friday afternoon, May 4th, right before Maryland Sheep and Wool, and it's going to be right down there, Columbia, Maryland. This one, this just came up recently that I was invited to be a part of this market, and I am thrilled. I heard so many wonderful things about the one that they did before Rhinebeck last fall, and I'm really honored to be asked to be a part of this group of makers that will be representing their products at Needles Up. So if you're coming to Maryland and you have time Friday afternoon, please stop by the Needles Up show because it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. Next up after Needles Up will be back up here closer to where I live in Waynesburg, PA, which is the Waynesburg Sheep and Wool Festival. I did vend at Waynesburg one other time. It was probably about 5 years ago, and it was a great show. It's a 2-day show. That's May 19th and 20th. Because of different things going on in my schedule, I was never able to apply to it again because I knew I wasn't going to be around at that time. So I'm really excited to be able to get back to Waynesburg this year. And then moving on a couple weekends later, I'll be going back to Maryland to the Frederick Fiber Fest, which is taking place down there. And I'm super excited. I've not vended at that one. That was one that I was approached about last year. They let me know about it and asked if I'd like to apply, and I did, and so I'm going to be vending there as well. And that is June 2nd and 3rd. So I'm pretty excited about that. And lastly, the last one that I've got on my calendar as of right now is the Gypsy Stardust Yarn and Fiber Fest, which is being held on Saturday, July 14th. This is the second one. The first one was last year, and I was a part of that, and it was a lovely little show. It takes place in Harrison City, PA, which is, again, real close to Pittsburgh, the eastern side of Pittsburgh. And I believe there are going to be more vendors here there this year. So if you're around, it's a lovely midsummer show to go to. Just so much fun. I'm so excited about all 5 of these shows. And like I said, I do have a couple of other things on the calendar. Some are not confirmed yet. But as I get confirmation of things, I will definitely let you know. Because again, I love to get to meet you in person. All right, so that was the first thing. The second thing I wanted to tell you about, just kind of to give you a heads up. Well, first of all, I'm going to mention I'm recording on a new camera today. I hope you'll be able to see a quality improvement. And it's different because the camera's actually here in front of me on a tripod, and then my computer's over here. So that's where, if I glance over there occasionally, that's what I'm looking at. But I'm trying to not glance over there. I'm trying to pay attention to the camera. But anyway, just giving you the heads up in case something seems different. If the sound seems different, that's probably why. But let me know if you like it, if it seems better. I would love some feedback. Okay, as far as other things I wanted to let you know, though, I'm planning to be updating my look. Not my look personally. My look is fairly consistent. But the look of Fiber Nymph Dye Works. The business is now in its 8th year, which is very exciting. And 7 years ago, when I first started the business, I put together my, logos and the banners for the website and the shop and all that. And I have not really updated much of it. I did update my business cards a few years ago. And I had planned to, kind of update other stuff along with that so everything looked consistent, like my ball bands and, the shop look and everything, but I never got there because that's one of those things that it's techy and it takes some time, and I'm usually spending most of my time dyeing yarn and rescanning yarn and shipping yarn and everything, and so the yarn always seems to take precedence. But I decided this year we really need a new look, so I'm going to be updating things. So just again, giving you the heads up if things start to look a little bit different, that's why. But don't worry, nothing else is changing. Like nothing's changing with the yarn or what I'm creating for you guys. It'll be the same high quality products that I've always had for you. It's time for a little bit of an updated look. Sometimes you have to get new curtains and a new carpet and maybe some new throw pillows. Think of it that way. This is for the shop. Got to do a little redecorating occasionally. Okay, the only other thing I've got left to tell you about is the shop update, which is going to be tomorrow. Again, that is the 26th of January at 6 p.m. And we've got our Guy color update, the Man-uary update. I'm just going to run through all of these. Now, I will say there are some of these colorways that I have not dyed in a very long time because, in recent years, I've really started dyeing a lot more of the bright, vivid colorways that have sort of become a signature thing for me. I do a lot of bright colorways, and it seems like that's what most people tend to go for. But back when I first started dyeing, I did do a lot more, I would say, subdued colorways. Darker colorways, and I think maybe that's where the more man-friendly color scheme comes in. Now I will say this was a little bit difficult because I think when you say something about Guy colors, that's kind of subjective, because I know like my husband will wear colors that most other men maybe wouldn't wear. Like he doesn't mind wearing bright purples and brighter colors. He's okay with that, and I know some guys would be like, no thank you. And for some guys, like Guy colors basically mean black and gray and maybe navy if they're really getting crazy. So there's such a spectrum of what can be considered a Guy color. I tried to hit what I thought would be the most accepted realm of colors. I did throw in some ones that might be a little on the edge for some guys, but just letting you know, I did kind of go back in the vault and pull out some colorways that I haven't dyed in a while, and hopefully those will be appealing, because they were ones that were actually well received for quite a while earlier on in the life of my business. I've just kind of got away from dyeing them. And I will also say that just because I'm calling this the Man-uary update and the Guy colors update does not mean that I think that they're only appropriate for guys. I mean, there's a lot of these colorways that I really like and that I've actually knit for myself over the years. So, you know, they're good for anybody, but they're the ones that I thought were probably what most people are thinking about when they're thinking about guy colors. So, without further ado, let me show you what's going to be in the shop update. This first one I've only dyed on Bounce, and this is one of my oldest colorways ever. It was one of the first colorways I ever dyed, and this is called no, it's not. It's called Popeye's Revenge, and it's just a two-stripe colorway, the brown and the green. And I'll tell you what, I sold tons of this back when I first started. It was very, very popular, and so I thought I'll bring it back. Couple scans of this in the shop this week. So Popeye's Revenge. Then I do have Poseidon's Love, which is what I started to say a second ago. Poseidon's Love is another one that's, it's a fairly older colorway of mine. Let's see if I can get it to focus. This camera does autofocus really nice, but again, I kind of have to get it in the right spot. This is a three-stripe colorway with peacock blue, turquoise blue, and gray, charcoal gray. So that's a good guy colorway. Then we have Sheldon's Challenge, which I have not dyed up in a while. This is a more recent colorway, but it's been a while since it's been in the shop. 5 stripes, and this is based on Sheldon from Big Bang Theory and how he makes choices with rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. That's what the colors represent. So those are the 5 colors of Sheldon's Challenge. There we go. And that's also only on Bounce. And lastly, the one that's only on Bounce is Harlequin, which is a 4 striper. Now this red in here is looking very orange to me on my computer, but it is a very, very red. I hopefully will be able to adjust that whenever I process. I will say this one is going to be discounted a little bit just because the red did some red flecking, which it's red on red, so it's not super obvious. But I can see it, and so I know it's not supposed to be there, so that will be discounted a little bit because of that. Okay, now we're going to move on to colorways that I've done on 2 bases. Then we've got, this one is actually another one that's one of my fairly original colorways, like from early on, and this is Piano Man. I did that on Bounce and on Cozy, which is my worsted weight base. I decided to do a bunch of these on worsted weight as well, just in case it's not really socks that you're interested in knitting for your guy, or if you're a guy, you're not interested in knitting socks, and you'd rather do a hat or gloves or a scarf or a cowl or something. Are cowls guy things? Some guys do wear cowls. I love cowls, but I don't know if that's really a guy thing. Anyway, hats, stripy hats. So several of these are on Cozy as well. So again, Piano Man, and I think this is actually probably a really quintessential guy colorway because it's got your navy blue, dark gray, dark green, and a brown in there. So those are definitely guy colors. Then we've got Grayscale, which I love this colorway. I have socks out of this colorway myself, but it's basically your black, your gray, and your white. Those Grayscale colorways, and I've got that on Cozy as well. And the fingering weight option for this one is my Squish 2.0 base, which is the Superwash Corriedale and Nylon blend. This is a nice workhorse base. It's a little bit more it'll withstand wear a little bit better than merino-based yarns because the Corriedale is a longer staple fiber. But it's super soft once it's knit up, and I really like it. I've used it a lot for a lot of my own socks. So anyway, again, Grayscale. Then I've got Forest Floor, which is again a nice neutrally kind of subdued colorway. I have that on Bounce and also on Cozy. Then I have American Legend, which is my Harley Davidson colorway, which is usually a win with guys who are into Harleys. So we've got that on Bounce and also on Cozy worsted weight. And that's all the ones that are just on 2 colorways, or on 2 bases. The last 3 colorways I have on 3 different bases. So let's start with this one. This has been a really popular colorway for people who are looking to knit for guys. ever since I created it, it's really been pretty popular. And this is my gunmetal colorway. So it has a dark blue, a light blue, a dark gray, and a light gray stripe in it. And I have that on 2 different fingering weight bases. So I've got it on the Squish 2.0, which is the Corriedale base, and then Bounce, and then I also have it on the Cozy worsted weight base. Then I have Mountain House Winter. Now I will say this is probably like the craziest, brightest colorway I have in this whole bunch. Well, maybe aside from American Legend, because that orange is pretty out there. Sorry, just dropped one. But this one is a 6-stripe colorway. I started coming out with the Mountain House colorways last year, and this was my first one, and it was super popular, and I know a lot of people liked it for knitting for men because it was, you know, a decent colorway that was a little bright but not too crazy. So here's Mountain House Winter. Actually, I made my husband a pair of socks out of this colorway, which he loves. Not just because the colorway was based on his home, but he does like it. So anyway, I have this on 3 bases as well. This is on Bounce. Then I also did up some Traveler, which is my sport weight base, and Cozy worsted weight. Lastly, I decided I really needed to have a new colorway for this update. And I was, you know, racking my brain trying to think of like, what can I do that's a little bit different? And I thought, you know what would be awesome would be to have a rainbow, but to have it be a man rainbow, a menbow, which I was going to call this colorway manbow. But I read that past a few people and they're like, no, don't do that. So we can call it a manbow, but maybe that's not the best name. Instead, I'm going to call it Just Don't Tell Him It's a Rainbow, because it is a rainbow. It's just not a typical rainbow. Here it is, and I'm going to hold it back here because when I put it super close, it really starts to blow out a little bit. This is kind of much more true to the actual colors. So this is a 6-stripe, 6-stripe colorway in the rainbow colors, but they are all much more muted, obviously. They're not the bright rainbow colors. They are dark rainbow colors. And I'm going to show them to you in a different form here in a minute, but let me tell you the bases. They're on Bounce, and I also have that on Traveler, which is sport weight, and then Cozy worsted weight. In addition to the self-striping skeins, I did up a set of minis. So the Just Don't Tell Him It's a Rainbow minis are, you can see the colors a little bit better. Now I will say the minis a couple of the colors dyed up a little lighter in the minis than they are in the bigger skeins, which is not unusual actually. But they still definitely coordinate. So if you wanted these for like heels and toes in the Bounce socks or something, or if you just wanted to do something else with them, you know, obviously you can do whatever you want with them. It would be your yarn if you purchased them. But anyway, let me just show you the colors a little bit better. These are all colors that I toned down with either gray or black dye, adding them to the other colors. So that's why they're a little darker. And I really love how they turned out. And I know I'm just fidgeting with them right now, but I'm trying to put them in their correct rainbow order so that you can see. And this is actually the order that they will stripe in the self-striping. So, and see this purple, that's not like a crazy purple. It's a really deep plum that's I've darkened even more. And like I said, in the self-striping, those colors are all even darker than what they look like in those minis. So anyway, just don't tell him it's a rainbow. That's what we're going to call that. Okay, that is everything I've got for you. I hope there's something here that if you were looking for some guy colors, I hope one of these spoke to you and you thought, yep, my guy would like that. Or if you're a guy who knits, I hope there's something there that you thought, yeah, I can do that. There's not a sparkle, there's not a speckle, and there's no pink. So I think those are the 3 criteria for definitely making something a guy colorway. All right, that's everything. Again, the update will be tomorrow, which is January 26th at 6 p.m. Eastern. And if you have any questions about anything between now and then, feel free to email me, fibernymph@gmail.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Yeah, and like I said, I will be doing a regular episode early next week, probably Tuesday, so you can be looking for that to go up either late Tuesday or sometime on Wednesday. And I will be posting all of that show information in all the places online, so you'll be able to find that. And I think that's everything. So have a great rest of your week. Have a lovely weekend, and I hope you get to do lots of knitting and lots of crafting, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.